Okay, so let's take a look at our source images folder, which has a lot more in it than the last time we saw this in the video. We've got our blob files. This is our base image for the blob. We've got our atlases over here and here. We've got our health bar, the green part of the health bar, and I think that's about it. So what we're going to do is kind of keep this off to the side, and let's go ahead and get our Xcode project back open. Here she is, and let's begin filling in some of the blanks here. So for the blob, just go ahead and drag this into the window. I'm going to actually shorten the name. That says blob1. Might as well just keep this as blob. And the file names don't matter. It's really this part of the name that gets referenced in the code, which is quite convenient. Let's do the same thing for our health bar, and let's drag that in. So our double size image, and then the green of the health bar. Let's just shorten this to the green, and put in your double resolution one. That'll take care of that. And again, even if we're going to use animated frames for our blob, we're always going to start off with a base image, and that's where this comes in. Okay, now as for our atlases, keep in mind that early on in the series we kind of got these atlas folders ready to have files dropped into them. So what you're going to want to do is go over here to Show in Finder, and let me just clean that up. Alright, so here are all of the atlas folders inside of the my project. You can always go view by kind to just kind of get them all together, and all I need to do is take what is inside of these same named folders and just dump them into here. And I suppose I could just replace them, but we're gonna do it this way. I think this is a file that shouldn't have been in there, so let me go ahead and trash that. Okay. And you can see that what I've done is put the walking frames and the side attack frames, or anything that's related to the side view, I put into the side atlas, right? And the same thing is true for the front. So if we have attacking in the front view or walking in the front view, they're both inside of this one atlas file. And as you're going to see later on when we start coding this, everything is completely optional. So if you don't have the artistic chops to do any of these animated frames, that's fine. You can get away with that. And if you had like maybe some sort of simple marble game or something. And then finally, all of the blob files are just going to be into one folder. And the reason I didn't do separate frames for these guys, or separate ones for the side view and back view, is because I wanted to test how things would look with one character having all those options and then another character not having those options, other than just the attack view here. Alright, so now that you've got those in there, you should be seeing them automatically show up inside of Xcode here. And just wanted to make sure that one file that I moved from the other folder was actually still in there. Alright, so we are good to go with those frames, and so we have a little bit more here to do this video. Let's go ahead and get rid of our characters other than the leader. And once you've done that, let's go ahead and add in a speed variable real fast. I got to thinking that maybe it would be a good idea to have a property for this. Well, I thought about that a while back, but I just hadn't actually done it. And one reason might be to make the leader move just a tad bit faster than the followers, and that way if they ever do get in front of him, eventually that should work itself out. Alright, so once you've done that, let's go ahead and just start pasting in the other things that we're going to need to work with our frames. And I'm going to go the quick way about this and just paste these one at a time. So FPS, this is going to be a number. You can make this anywhere from 1 to 60 realistically. 1 would be playing 1 frame per second, so that would be awful slow, but I have mine set up to 20, and I talked about this before, that it's you're not talking about the frame rate of the movie here or the game. You're just talking about how quickly your frames are running each second. So how many of them are going to go through in a second? And all right, here's our first kind of option. So use resting frames, and if you decide that you're going to use separate frames for resting or still frames, then we've got our resting atlas file. That's called still, and then you get to decide which resting frames you want to use. In this case, I've got still frame 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I step back down to 3, 2, 1. So this way it'll look like the character's just kind of breathing up and then down again. All right. And the nice thing is you're using those same frames just again, you know. So inside of the still atlas, all I've got is frame 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Okay, and everything else is pretty much set up that same way. So we first ask the question, use front view frames, and if you're going to use those, then you've got your walk front atlas file, and then you just paste in the frames that you're going to use. Okay, so, and then side view frames, walk side atlas file, that one's called side, and then you just put in here the actual frames you're going to use. Same thing for the back view. There's the atlas file, and notice you don't have to put .atlas after these names. And over here I'm using these back frames. If I didn't show you this earlier, those are the side ones I'm using. I think in each one of these I just have 8 frames. And while we're over here, let's just go ahead and start defining it. Just put in everything we're going to use. Here comes the kitchen sink. Does attack when not leader, and obviously the leader is always going to attack. And I kind of like the other characters attacking too, so let's go ahead and set that up to yes. And then we've got the question, use front attack frames. Paste in, oops. And then you can set up a different atlas file for your front attack, but in my case, again, I put all the front things into one atlas folder. So there's those. My front attack frames, I've got just 4 frames in there, like that. And then use side attack frames, yes or no. And I'm sure somebody out there is thinking, wow, we're going to have to write a lot of code. The nice thing about this is, though, we get to copy and paste a lot of code. And you can imagine we're just going to be replacing the word front with the word side and the word side with the word attack. All right, and just to finish up the property list here, let's go ahead and, I meant to show you that. Let's go ahead and paste in, or I'm going to paste in this option, use attack particles. And then if that's a yes, we've got our attack particle file. We'll create and name that Spark later on. And then we've got an option of particles to emit. In my case, that's a relatively low number of just 15. Particle delay, that delays when those particles appear after the attack, so 0.2 of a second later. That's not much, but does look better. And then another option is going to be has own health. And if the character has their own health, we need to define the kind of the max health there, or what you are at 100%. And I just put in 100 there because that's an easy number to deal with. And then on down the road in a whole nother section, we're going to deal with the kind of the damage factor and stuff like that. But we can leave that out for right now because we don't actually have any enemies to attack, so it doesn't really matter what numbers we were to hypothetically put in for damage. But just note that would be something to include later. All right, so we've got a lot of work to do here. With the time that we've got left in this video, let's go ahead and work with that speed variable. So That's going to be set to 6. We can go ahead now and copy out our other characters back in. Let's try 1 at 5, and we'll just do the other one at 5 as well. Okay, now we can go ahead and take our speed out of there. And let's put that right back in. So we'll say speed equals, and this will be character data, object for key, speed, and this is going to be an integer value. I suppose that could also be a float value if you want it to be, but let's just go with an integer. And of course now, you guys all remember where our speed comes in next. Gets applied right over here in our update statement. So let's give this a quick test. I have been testing on my iPad during the session break. It's running quite nice, a lot faster of course than the simulator, which is still kind of an oddity. I don't know why they can't seem to make the simulator simulate at the same frame rate, considering you can make an app from Xcode that builds to an actual Mac app, and that runs quite well. So, who knows? Maybe it's just to make us developers buy more devices. Okay, and one thing I forgot to do was separate or change the positions, the initial positions of the characters. But that's okay. They all just came in kind of piled in on each other. And so this is obviously my leader here. You can see that he is kind of running a bit ahead of the rest of the group, which is maybe not such a bad thing because as the leader, and then it might also give you kind of a reason to kind of pull the group back together at times like that. And just with the size of this board, it's not he can never really get too far ahead of you. Okay, so let's come back in another video, and we're going to start going through that property list and really kind of seal the deal on everything.